Go ahead.
Let me close this out. Hold on here. This is not what I want up here. Um, I love the way you're putting together the base camp and all that encompasses, and
Yep.
how helpful that is to the rest of us. I'm still learning how to use all that. You,
Yeah,
you
it's a,
know, and
it's an acquired skill.
yeah, and by the way, in the beginning, when we first started out, I didn't know what your role was. I didn't. It took me. I've been coming to every Monday meeting with the Boji Purview and GrowthOD since January. So I'm about 6 months into every single meeting.
Yeah.
I'm well
I'm trying to
invested now.
I'm trying to add a little bit of structure for the team to get
Yeah.
to get actual work done.
By the way, can you see this page?
Let's see. Not yet. I just have your.
All right, hold on a minute. Let me make sure all right. Let me do this right here. Share screen. Okay, I'm going to pull up this and see if this works. Can you see this screen now?
Okay, got it now. Yep.
All right, what I want to do is, if I could, I'd like to take a couple minutes, Ken, and show you how I work and why Olivia initially invited me to join Boji and Grace
Yep.
Ann, David and Grace Ann, and you. One of the things, for instance, if you and I were to sit down and give an example of a consulting company, I would say, let's say I found a piece of business and I needed Boji Purview or GrowthOD to help me out with a client. Now, my client, hypothetically, let's say, is a $20 million IT software developing company that has 140 employees doing 20 million a year, and they have a lot of toxicity in their environment. And they want some coaching people to come in to help them, just like the way you do with your traders and the way you bring in, Vanessa and Lucero and Alicia and all the workers that are doing wellness.
Yeah.
So what I do when I first take on a contract, like hypothetically, I might want to bring in Tom Lemke for a Glow, and I might want to bring in Ken Long for a curriculum development that would be ongoing for the company after the coaching engagement is in place and going. I'm just hypothetically talking right now. Now, when I start out with a client, I take the leaders. Let's say there's 6 different leaders that represent 6 parts of the company, maybe COO, CFO,
The usual suspects.
right, So then what I do is I do leadership dashboard, which includes, can you see my mouse moving, my arrow?
Yeah.
My leadership dashboard includes the vision that they have individually and collectively as a company, both, and then a mission statement when I'm dealing with let's say I'm dealing with the head of operations. So what is the mission statement for this person, not only for his own goals, but for the company too? Then I do a values, give me your 3 to 5 non-negotiable core values that make up you and that are parallel with your team and the company.
Yeah.
So we put all this in writing. Then we do EDGE. You know what EDGE is?
Yeah.
Okay, you understand all this, right?
Yep.
And then I go to initiatives. What initiatives are you employing or starting out? What are your performance metrics for your team and your leadership? What are the relationships you're using to support what you're up to? Both business and, by the way, that's usually both business and personal too, because you really can't separate somebody's personal life from their work,
Agreed.
I mean, you're a coach, so you're into all this. Yep. I'm just going over the way I've been trained and what I do on my everyday work. And then finally, my last leadership dashboard piece is developmental opportunities. As Stephen Covey taught us, what are you doing to sharpen the saw? Yeah. Or maybe it was Earl Nightingale. How are you sharpening?
Everybody says that. Yeah.
Sharpening your saw. So that's the leadership dashboard. Then they fill that out. And what I wanted to show you a little bit of my own statement is I have a mission statement, a values, and then I also have a vision. But in a nutshell, I just put these 3 out there.
Hmm.
To use my own unique story for and accomplishments to build confidence in others while shaping new perceptions through inspiration as I too am inspired. No, this is my own little piece that I use.
Yeah.
And then I do have my own edge. My edge down here mainly works in psychological awareness, social awareness, and emotional intelligence. Seems to be the area that people give me feedback on my
Yeah.
strong points.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And then I wanted to show you that this is what I use for an intake form. I'm trying to get a person's perception of themselves, right?
Got it.
And also what are their most significant accomplishments, what are their biggest failures, et cetera, et cetera. You probably do something similar to that.
Yep. Got it.
I'm also, of course, if we were to go on a project together and we were representing GrowthOD, I would want to make sure that we were synchronized on things like that too, of course. Now, my
Yeah.
own CV, I think I sent you a copy of my curriculum vitae, right?
Probably. I think you did.
I wanted to put it in Basecamp.
I think it was in Basecamp.
Somebody told me to send it directly to Ken Long and let Ken
Oh.
Long load it up
Oh,
the way
okay.
he wants to load it up.
Oh,
So,
David
so
probably
rather
told you
than
to do that.
input it directly to Basecamp, I was asked to send it directly to you and let you load it
Yeah,
up.
what I want you to do is go to Basecamp and upload it so that I don't become your executive assistant.
Yeah,
I want
thank
it to
you.
be I want you to be empowered.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. I didn't. I wanted to load it up myself, so thank you. I was just told to go through you.
Yeah, David
Okay.
probably told you to do that because he's not comfortable using other people's tools yet.
Actually, I think it was Olivia that
So,
told me that.
oh, maybe so. Okay.
Now,
All right.
now, real quick, just a brief summary, Ken. These toolkits that I use here, team coaching,
Yeah.
communicate simply and powerfully, etc. Okay, just to give you a bird's eye view of what they look like that I use when I'm in an organization. Now, here's the team coaching toolkit. And as you can probably, by the way, this is from Andrew Knightlick. Do you know Andrew Knightlick?
I know the name.
W. Beck's, he's like the Harvard MBA
Yeah.
W. Beck's guru on business coaching. He's the global guru in this. Anyway, these are extremely complete in terms of what all they cover. As you can probably imagine, it's very
Yeah.
concise and
Yeah.
very
Very
complete.
Harvard Business Review.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's also very
That's a
facilitative. It's not.
it's a
It's not.
good I mean, I say that in a good way.
Yeah, he is not a consultant. He's a facilitator coach.
Yeah.
Right, and then another one would be here's one on influencing conversation, flexibility, impact. Here's one on board. Like sometimes I've been asked about 6 or 8 different times to help people with boards,
Yeah.
board development. You understand what that's all about, right?
Yep. Yep.
And you've probably done it. And
Yeah.
then I have one. If I have a leader who really needs it, I have if somebody has a poor perception or they need to redo their perception of either themselves or their world, I have a narrative coach on perception, how to get somebody's perception of themselves and or their organization to come up.
Yeah.
I've actually seen people psychologically change their perception of their past. And I teach a course in miracles, and I've
Yeah.
seen people turn into a whole different swagger,
Yeah.
a
One
whole
good
transformation.
story. One good change in the story can change your mind and change your life.
Yes, yeah, yeah. You understand Peter Demarest and Harvey
Yeah.
Shove and
Yes.
what they're up to. Are you in that? Are you in Peter's class, the
No.
cohort class?
No.
Peter wants me to join up in August 15th.
Okay.
If I can. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a bird's eye view of a little bit of my work. I'm a big believer in the leadership dashboard as a way to help a leader get focused in a mission, vision, values, edge.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in just giving that as a generic starting point before we write up the proposal and then create the action plan.
Yeah, it establishes a very good baseline for self-assessment, your place in the organization, your view of the organization. It's a natural start point to document current beliefs.
Yeah. And now I stopped sharing. That's most of what I had. I realized that you and I, although we share the meetings every single Monday, we've never had a chance to visit with each other.
Right.
So I appreciate your time today, and obviously you're very busy, and you're backed up pretty much on your workload.
I stay busy.
But by the way,
You
you
got to keep the
enjoy,
flywheel going. Yeah.
yeah, you enjoy are a great combination. I know she's a success coach, and she's got a lot of toolkits in there. She
Yeah.
seems to have a lot of know-how.
She really does. She is a really gentle individual and is comfortable with one-on-one and small groups, although she has a lot of experience leading larger teams and being part of larger teams. There's a lot more depth that she likes to let on. She's got
Well,
a good skill set.
the more I get to know her, the more I see what you're saying. The more I see her work, the more I realize she's got an abundance of knowledge in there.
Yeah. She is fearless and she has um, and vulnerable at the same time, and is a very pleasant, easy style of working with people. So I
Yeah,
really enjoy that.
yeah. She allows herself to be vulnerable, and she's astute. She's good
Yeah,
in cross dialogue.
yeah,
Yeah, she can keep up with any conversation. It would appear.
yeah,
Now, in summary, Ken, I wanted to say that my hypothetical company, like let's say I won a contract for a $20 million company for, let's say, a 9 month engagement where they wanted to, reduce the toxicity, create better synergy, get aligned in their teamwork. So I would bring a guy like you in for an ongoing curriculum. This is hypothetical, just thinking out loud, right?
sure.
And then I might bring in Tom Lentke for more of a gratitude, more of an ongoing spirit type of thing.
Yeah,
And then I would be the one that would do maybe working directly with leaders in their coaching. And
yeah,
sometimes when I'm working with a leader, we might also do team coaching if that was warranted.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you can tell whether you need to interface with the team directly or not. you
Concur.
know
Yeah, sometimes you got to work one-on-one to create a little safe space for them to express themselves and to loosen up the death grip they have on their worldview. And you need a safe space to do that. And other times, you need to bring them in to a facilitated two persons talking to each other in the presence of a facilitator. And then sometimes it's small group, and then it progresses to the large group, whatever the market will bear. And so each one of
yes.
those is adaptive. Yeah.
And by the way, when I do team coaching, I literally sit with each team member for an hour to really get to their full input. And what I like
Yeah.
to do, I like to do a 360 verbal feedback on team, just
Yeah.
team. Like, what are the three things that you love about your team, that are
Yeah.
working real well about your team? And tell me one thing about your team that you feel could improve.
Yeah.
And then after that, I also say, now, is there anything else you want to share about the team in general? So three good things, one area where they can grow, and then a general summary at the end. And then get
Yeah.
all that before we get into any individual feedback on, say, the leader. But I love
Yeah.
doing verbal feedback on leadership and team members, and also team feedback, if you understand what I'm saying.
I'm with you.
I think the team feedback, I find, is very helpful as getting an overview of everybody's perception of the team as a whole.
Yep.
But I would never do team coaching without interviewing each candidate in the team first,
Yeah.
of course.
Otherwise, you're held hostage to their external communication, and you don't have any glimpse behind the curtain.
Well, that's right. Plus, you need to have a
Very much
relationship.
like it's like you have to build trust at the individual level so that when you give feedback in public, they know the reference, they know the context, that they know where it's coming from. It's coming from a good place because they've established trust with you in the one-on-one session. So yeah,
Yeah, the
you
one-on-one
gotta
really
lay the
sets you
groundwork.
up.
Yeah.
Without one-on-one up front, you can't really talk to the team collectively
Yeah.
without,
You might as well be a reporter on the street here in the drive-bys, but no way to see the deeper connections to feel the undercurrents. You got to start with the individuals, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I think philosophically, you and I are on the same page in terms of the way we approach that kind of work.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, I wanted to ask you about. I was looking at some of your. Okay, we got values axiology. I was looking at some of your graphs that you put out on this past Monday.
Yeah.
One of the areas I don't think you're covering yet. You've got the energy work for traders with Vanessa and Lucero and Alicia and that whole group.
Yeah.
Including is Joy in there? Is she
Yeah.
in that group? Okay, and then you've
Yep.
got Jim Rogers and George, and then
Yep.
you've got the Disney SEOD.
Yeah.
But the one piece where I am is really the one where you would have like coaching, direct facilitative coaching.
Yeah. That was intended to be illustrative, not comprehensive. What I wanted to show was that there is a solar system of planets and people generally in orbit around the Boji center of the solar system. Like Boji's core competencies and values is what brought everybody to that area. And everybody's bringing their own backgrounds and whatnot in there. And there are opportunities that I see for people to leverage their contacts from that network to go out into their own practice and do as you're describing. Like you do a diagnosis of a situation with the clients that you've developed and that you trust, and you act as a general contractor and you say, based on my diagnosis, this is some of the treatments that I recommend. And then they might agree. And then you do the stuff you do. And if you need specialists, you bring them in according to your general contractor plan. And that's one way in which this Boji community of practice ends up developing their own idea. Energy work for traders, I put in there simply as a way to demonstrate at a detailed level what that looks like. What you see me doing now with that group is sort of for me, validating their skill set and going through the experience and documenting their process. And I'm already testing some of those sessions with some of my clients. In fact, the thing I did just before you logged on was I sent a note to a friend of mine who's a trader who's going through some life crisis, and he needs some energy work
Oh,
before
okay.
he goes into full-time trading.
Yeah.
He's an army officer who has had a bad experience with the senior leader, and he's going through some life-changing turmoil and stress. Well, his trading took a big hit because that's not the mindset you need to be in when you are trading. So
Uh-huh.
he wants to now that he's getting ready to get out of the army, he wants to do trading full time. And I said, the first thing you got to do is get to closure and accommodation and understanding of all this turmoil. So
Yeah.
I was able to point him to the session I did with Lucero and
Holy fire, Reiki,
a
the
session with
Reiki
Joy.
Holy Fire.
Yeah. So
I
I
saw
did.
that one. I
Yeah.
saw that.
So I am connecting him to those videos to see which, if any of those, resonate strongly with him. My suggestion to him, because I've known him for a while, is that either Joy or Alicia would be very well situated in helping him address his current circumstances. Before I take him deeper into technical trading and you got to take care of the groundwork first. So that's an example of a derivative project that is grounded in Boji's work, but is really it's me and my clients, and I'm acting as the general contractor, and I'm assembling these various product lines, goods and services, and then I can do a diagnosis, and I can maybe set up some production work. So I think that's what you're talking about. Only in your case, you're looking at the clients that you would normally serve, and now
Right.
through the Boji group, you have access to people with skill sets that complement yours and adds value in the synergy. In that case, it would be you doing the diagnosis, you pulling in the specialists you need, and figuring out all the contracted arrangement for all that stuff. So, yeah, so there's a lot more uh, that could have been on that chart
Oh
that
yeah.
isn't yet. But that's
No, I get
what I
it.
wanted to do was show the people that if you're in that group and you don't want to do that stuff, then don't do it. But if you're in
Yeah.
that group, but it gives you an idea of something you might want to do, well, then and if you want to work with me, then I'm happy to work with you. And I'm happy to provide sort of the gentle organizing of that group for people that want to collaborate and want to do consulting and stuff like that. Some of the folks in that group are academics and want to just research what they research and get exposed to new ideas, which is fine. But some of the folks, probably half the folks in there, have an idea towards doing active consultation. Some are already actively consulting, like yourself. And so, yeah, as an example, if there was something that you wanted to do uh, to sort of document your process like you've just done,
Uh,
then I can build you a course in Rizuku that organizes your material. We can create a work project. We can do a separate base camp project where you are the prime mover and other people would come in and work with you and could use base camp to develop your collaboration on your terms, at your pace, in your
I'm glad you
protected
brought that
area.
up. I'm glad you brought that up, Ken, because I wanted to make sure that I covered the area of your strong skill in curriculum development. You
Yeah,
can actually take a person's skill set and help them in a collaboration build a curriculum that can
yeah,
be ongoing.
yeah. That's what I'm doing with Tom. He's under my general guidance. He's got most of this done already anyway, but he's put together now it's a 30-day daily gratitude project that could lead to a year-long journaling and consultation. So there are levels to that of how that could get built out. Now, in addition to curriculum, I'm also an expert in systems thinking, in true storytelling, in protreptic coaching, conventional
So say that
organizational,
last
oh,
type of coaching again.
protreptic coaching. So that,
Protreptic coaching. What
yeah,
is that?
yeah. So that's a Greek word, protreptic.
Yeah, what is that?
It's a poorly chosen title for a style of coaching that harkens back to uh, Aristotle and Plato and the way that they would coach the philosopher kings of Athens. So when
Oh,
you're the
that's called protreptic coaching. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So when you're the philosopher king of Athens, you can't really trust anybody to tell you anything because
Uh-huh.
they're all trying to suck up and they have their own agendas.
Well, that's why all
And
kings fall too.
that's right, right. So an enlightened king, a philosopher king in the Aristotle and Plato mode, would realize that shortcoming and they would realize that they need to square the circle somehow. I'm a unique king with skill sets that nobody else has, and nobody else can possibly understand everything I know, but I also need to be able to have a trusted advisor who's not going to try to subtly steer me in one way or the other, but is there to help me think my way through problems. So Aristotle and Plato assembled a technique and an attitude and a perspective that the Greek word for that is protreptic. And what it does,
That's protreptic. Okay.
yeah. And so the style of it is it's a non-denominational, non-directive style of coaching that's designed to help a person pull up from their personal area to put an idea out into a public space and with a trusted coach to examine it from multiple perspectives in a fresh and unique way. And then the protreptic coach guides them into immediate, kind of surprise them with these unusual questions from different angles.
Yeah.
And they're trying to elicit an immediate response. What is your emotional response when I ask this question? What did you think of? Where did it go? What is the like little popcorn popping?
Just
And the
to
idea,
understand what their thinking is.
yeah, and the idea is to cut through all the layers of bullshit that can arise in a complex life of a philosopher king. How do I cut right to the heart of things and discover insights in a surprise, almost ambush style manner? But how do I do that with a guy who's not trying to steer me or who I can trust? So
Yeah,
the protreptic coach facilitates this guy's journey through his own thinking. And that's why it's usually one on one, because you're working with privileged insights and you're trying to help that guy examine it from different angles. Now, you're not trying to get to a conclusion. You're not trying to, have a follow a particular recipe, but you're trusting the client to be the expert in their own knowledge and practice and experience. And you're just trying to help them with these fresh ideas and help them explore and through wordplay, make connections for them to test and try on.
with no
Of
agenda
course,
of your own, too.
that's correct. It's really just discovery learning. We're both trying to discover what's in this dark room that this guy brought to the table.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and so the agreement is always that the person that you're working with they decide which way we're going to go and how long we're going to go there and how much we're going to reveal. And really, when they're satisfied that the session is over, that they have enough things, they have new, fresh things on the table for them to conduct internal, deep reflection on in their personal and private space. The protreptic coach has done their job by taking them through new pathways to explore old ideas in a new way. And then you
yeah,
trust that guy to be, he's the expert in his own process and his own beliefs. And you've given him 5 or 10 things that he should take into his personal space and reflect on. And then from that, he gets a new set of things that he wants to talk about. So
yeah,
it's a non-directive, creative, and it actually uses the power of story thinking and storytelling in the true story circle to sort of guide that process in a protected way. So I actually
yeah.
have a course. I have a course on that I
Do
did
you?
with Jens Larson, who was one of David's writing partners. So anyway, so so in addition to the just curriculum development and delivery, I have skills in true storytelling, protreptic coaching, creativity, leadership, art and science, systems thinking. I'm an advanced facilitator for the Water Center for Systems Thinking. It was a year-long course that I took. I can actually write curriculum and do diagnosis in the area of systems thinking for people and organizations. That's one of the things I do for the Army is I'm one of our ex leading experts on that.
Are you a
And I've got
PhD? Do you have a PhD?
a DM. It's the applied PhD. It's not research. It is the applied collaboration, and it's a more practical application of theory. I've done theoretical research with
Uh-huh.
PhDs and am published in the areas of creativity, systems thinking,
So
and I've
by the way, I was
created my
writing,
own
are all
theories.
these things in your Basecamp profile?
Yeah, yeah,
So I can go back and see all these in your Basecamp profile too.
yeah,
By the way,
yeah,
that King story, my greatest example of the King story was King Arthur and his
yeah.
his prophet. What was his name? King
Merlin,
Arthur,
Merlin.
Merlin. But the King Arthur still fell, even though King Arthur, when he started out, was like the great promise, right?
Yeah,
And and started with the Knights of the Round Table and everything.
yeah,
But he finally did fall, as all kings
yeah,
eventually do.
yeah. But really, the secret of that whole story is the search for the Grail.
Oh
Without
yeah,
King Arthur,
right.
without King Arthur, Gawain and Galahad and the third guy, Parsifal, 3 guys who achieved the Grail, wouldn't have
Uh-huh.
gotten the Grail without the ecosystem that King Arthur establishes.
Yeah,
So he's almost like John the Baptist in that sense. He's a human with his own flaws, but he's an enabler at setting conditions for he who will follow. You know.
yeah.
So anyway,
Hey, yeah,
yeah. Anyway, that's
that's good.
my intention then is to use Basecamp sort of as a behind the scenes internal collaboration and developmental area. And my intention is to have, anytime any person has a project that they want to do that would involve people from the Boji orbit, even if it doesn't include me. But if they needed a place to do collaboration, I'm happy to provide base camp for them
Yeah, and
at no
getting back to
cost.
your comment about the academicians in the group that are
Yeah,
collecting data and so forth,
yeah,
I think the combination of facilitative coaching, wellness, and energy working people,
yeah,
and the academic high end intellectual research
yeah.
people, is the whole combination works well together.
Yeah, because you get a respect for the creation of new knowledge from the academicians. They have access to theoretical models that are rigorous
Yeah.
and helpful. The practitioners are in there hooking and jabbing and in the, digging holes with shovels,
Yeah,
and
the combination.
the energy workers are helping with the human factor side of it and all that stuff. So there's a very healthy diversification of skills, um, that makes that a rich developmental environment.
Well, also too, the fact that we have axiogenics and Vuja Day. In other words, we have the other new cutting edge assessments, the axiogenics with Peter and Harvey.
Yeah.
To have access to that and also to have Vuja Day gives you a lot more ammunition to work with too.
Well, here's the special power that comes from Vujade. I spent about 90 minutes talking them through this process.
I've got my thing right here, but nobody's debriefed
Yeah,
me yet. Go ahead.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm
So here,
listening.
so uh, based on my research in creativity, one of the things that we find is that the potential for creativity increases as a function of your genuine diversity. The more and diverse perspectives that you have represented in a group, the greater number of combinations and possibilities for breakthrough. However, the greater the diversity, the more significant the communication problem that you have because they don't have a common frame of reference. So the communication can only happen when you establish a common frame of reference between two diverse elements. So my research in catalyst leadership theory examines how do I, as a catalyst, which is my role, how do I create conditions under which any two other specialists can find common ground through me, establish connections, and then leave those two free to go do their thing once they've established the initial, uh, you know, frame of reference for common. And that leaves me free to be a catalyst for as many places I want to go. For me, the important thing is not to become the solution for that particular transaction because now I'm no longer a catalyst. I'm part of a solution, and that usually bores me pretty quickly. But what
And
I
you have
like
the
to do
self
is,
you have
yeah,
the self-awareness to understand the difference. And when
oh
you're
yeah,
starting to go, you understand how to stay in catalyst and not
yeah,
go into solution,
yeah.
right?
It's very much aligned with, and I know this because my brother's a nurse, but it's very much aligned with the practitioner nursing philosophy that says the patient should do all of the work except the things that only the nurse can do. But the nurse's intervention is always the least possible intervention for the shortest period of time so that the nurse doesn't become the solution to the patient. I want the patient to be a full of agency and responsibility and autonomy to do the healing and do the work and get on with your life so I can go nurse somebody else. So in many ways the nurse acts very much like a catalyst for healing.
Yeah.
Like when I had a broken leg and they were doing some surgery to put the pieces back together, and it came time for physical therapy. She wasn't helping me get out of the bed. She would say, "Just get your legs over the edge of the bed and twist." I said, "Yeah, it hurts." She says, "It's supposed to hurt. What were you expecting? Just suck it up, cupcake." So some tough love. So the idea of the catalyst is that you find ways to set conditions where the chemical reaction can occur. So here's
Hey,
so now to get back to Vujade.
okay, okay.
What Vujade does gives you a way to discover your own footprint and preferences, to compare that to the footprint and preferences of somebody else, and then use the analysis and comparison to find easy ways to begin to establish communication and to anticipate areas where that communication might be more difficult. Now, what is my incentive for communicating with somebody that is diverse from me? Well, if I share a set of common values, that's the axiology. If I share a set of common values about service to others so that the people may thrive, the greatest good to the greatest people, love the earth, take care of the weak. Now, suddenly, we have at the values level a common frame of reference upon which we can build something that interesting out of our diversity. But I need to have that common framework. Well, the greater the diversity, the more difficult it could be to find that common area. So Vujade is a rapid fire way of systematically assessing many dimensions and then frames the opportunity as a way to here's where the low hanging fruit is for you to begin to develop rapport. Here's some areas where we know it's probably going to be more difficult because you have a artistic, romantic, uh, internalist, emotional preference, and this other guy is sort of an external, rational, objective engineer. You might think that they have a hard time talking to each other. But if it turns out we find some areas where it's easy to begin, we may discover that that could rapidly become, well, what Vujade says, the theory of Vujade is that we can systematically explore the diversity and commonality between people and uh, um, reliably and rapidly develop team building and rapport in order to discover is there actually an opportunity that the two of us coming together can work and develop. So Vujade is an implementing, enabling tool that builds on communication, self-awareness, can be applied at the individual and team level, and can support ongoing developmental opportunities. That's sort of the corporate argument in favor of adopting Vujade as standard work in a particular corporate culture. If I could start every meeting with a much deeper understanding of how we can work together based on the shared values we have, then I'm going to have a competitive advantage against other companies or teams that don't share that same commonality.
Yes.
If I'm in the business of reaching out to clients to offer them my services, and I've never worked with them before, Vujade actually becomes a tool in which I can find how I, as a consultant, can do a better job connecting to and developing that relationship rapidly. So it
So would
acts
you
on
consider
a bunch
using
of different levels.
Vujade in the beginning of a coaching project? So,
100% yes.
so you would give
100%
that to
yes.
everybody that you're going to be working with as a
Yep.
starting point.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I would use that as the basis of the one-on-one coaching. And since I would be an expert in the use of it myself and had done that for myself, I know that how I, as a consultant, try to do one on one communication with that person, I'm already got a jump start on understanding how that's going to go. It lets me shape the negotiation space or the dialogue space in order to more effectively hear them and be heard by them. So it
Hey, by
helps
the
that
way,
communication. Yeah.
you and I don't know each other's Vujade. I don't know your Vujade. You don't know mine.
Yeah.
However, I think our communication today is pretty good.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to tell you about your nurse person.
Yeah.
I teach a course in miracles, and what we always tell about the course in miracles, the doctor in the doctor-patient relationship is the mind of the patient.
Yes.
You
Yes.
get that, right? The mind of the
Right away.
patient is the
Yeah.
healer. The doctor
Yeah.
is a facilitator. The nurse is a facilitator or catalyst, to use your word.
Yes.
But the doctor is the mind of the patient, right?
Right. Because that's the one you have to persuade to follow the treatment and to use the powerful forces of the placebo and positive thinking effect as part of the healing ecosystem. So my
Yeah, so you and
brother
I
is
are on the
a
same page. We
yeah,
understand that principle.
yeah.
Although you're probably not a student of the Course in Miracles, but you understand it.
I've read the material. I don't teach it. I haven't gone through it, but I understand it.
What?
My brother is a hospice nurse. My brother's a hospice nurse, and so
Okay,
we've
he's a
had long,
hospice nurse.
yeah, and
That's
so
a
we're
tough job.
building, yeah, and so we're actually building out energy work for traders that incorporates the insights that come from hospice nursing to help people that have experienced catastrophic scarring breakdowns as a consequence of unmanaged or undisciplined trading. Trading will allow you to spin off into space if you are unregulated. It can be very destructive emotionally, financially, psychologically, and it leaves scarring. So
Do
that
you have a
stuff
lot of
can be
clients?
healed.
Do you have a lot of trader clients?
About 300.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Are they
Uh,
Wall Street people or just local people?
some of the combination. I teach banks, hedge funds, pension funds, independent traders,
So
money managers
you know that culture, that environment inside now.
for 40 years. Yeah,
You weren't a trader, were you, or were you?
yeah. I'm a trader also.
You came out of being a trader, or you still
I'm
are?
I have been a trader for 40 years. I when I
Uh,
began trading, I approached it as a professional career
yeah.
from day one as a serious person. And it's been
Uh-huh.
one of my four primary lines of effort in my daily practice for 40 years.
Well, how long did you stay full time at that?
I am full time now and I'm 40 years.
Wait a minute, you're a full time trader,
Yeah,
and still all this other work you're doing at the same
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Wow.
I parallel process.
So
When I say I am a full-time trader, here's what I mean. I'm never more than 5 minutes away from the next trading decision. I have automated systems that remind me when it's time to make a decision. And those things are going on all the time, whether I'm teaching in the Army, I'm working on the soccer field with kids, if I'm teaching in a educational doctoral program at St. Mary's University, where I'm a research method director.
are you
Trading
trading
is one.
stocks or commodities or what?
Yes, 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 and yes.
You do so
Stocks,
trade commodities?
stocks, commodities, futures, options,
Oh
currency,
my God. So you're in some of the high
crypto.
risk areas.
Yes, that's where the money is.
Well, of course it is, right?
Yeah,
So you have your own built-in algorithms, do you, or what?
yeah, yeah. I do that. I use my systems thinking expertise and my
Uh-huh.
psychology expertise to build automated trading systems and discretionary trading systems for individuals and organizations.
By the way, my whole life philosophy on navigating the life of the world is to
Yeah,
do the opposite of what the majority do. Whatever everybody else is doing, I want to do
yeah.
the opposite. If
That's a
people are
good
commuting,
start point. That's
if
a good
people are
start point.
commuting by car at 7 a.m., I'm going to be doing something else at 7 a.m. I'm not going to do what the masses do in
Right.
any area of my life.
There's a certain that is a central feature of professional thinking for traders, is you have to know what the herd is doing,
Yes, that's
and
right.
you have to find ways of doing things that the herd doesn't do.
Right.
And so, because you share the same DNA as the herd, now we have a training and self mastery issue or opportunity. How do I reliably create emotion resistant systems that a human can operate that keeps them on the edge of the herd, and it also protects them against their own tendencies to believe in their own success
Well, it sounds
as a
like you
re-
also are teaching traders how to trade too.
oh yeah, 100%. That's where
I
most of
mean, not
my
only are you taking care of their health and their emotional life, but you're
right.
also teaching them how to trade.
Yeah, specifically techniques, rules, systems, automated packages. Like I sell we have a trade station and a TC 2000 brokerage trading platform that we sell for 5 grand that gives them all the tools, all the rules, all the screen setups and the systems
Yeah.
that it takes to do that. However, in trading, there's about 3 things that you have to master: system, self, and market. So you have to have a method of really understanding the market and the subsets of the market, what they're doing in order to find where the fish are and when they're going to start jumping.
So
You then have
system,
to
self,
and
what's the
market,
third one? Market,
market.
market. System, self, and market. Yeah.
So the market is the larger ecosystem in which opportunity abides and risk, and systems are rule sets and infrastructure and operators that allow us to reliably go into those markets and extract money. And then self is the entire psychology of the human that understands himself, understands what he needs to do to operate a system, and then understands the human dimensions of the market because the market is filled with people that have psychology. And I have to compare and understand my psychology versus their psychology, the psychology of the people that are creating automatic systems. So psychology is the thing that kind of ties all that together. One of the
Yeah.
consequences of trading is the psychological stress and cost of just living in that environment 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That in
so,
itself is stressful. Yeah.
yeah, so you have to get in front of that and build up resources and resilience and procedures before you need them. You
Wow.
don't want
Yeah.
it to be a problem. It's like preventive medicine and good nutrition and diet and exercise in order to have a healthy organism so that you're not waiting for the disease to then try to get well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It
so
reminds me.
the yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's what the energy work for traders is an opportunity for me to expand the different methods of energy work that are found in the world by people I trust. And I trust them because I'm going through their work as a trader and test driving it on me as the test dummy. And I'm
Yeah.
recording that. I record that so that I can show to my traders that number one, I take this seriously. I'm doing the work on camera. That's actually an educational experience for them because I'm being vulnerable and transparent as a
Yeah.
professional trader, and they can see some of the things that I'm going through. Since
Yeah.
I'm giving them advice, I think it's important that they see the unpacking of my own psychology
Yeah.
as part of the validation.
Yeah,
Right?
so the revenge piece you did with Joy. Now, how
Yeah.
will you use that? Will that be used with your traders, or how will you
Yeah.
use that?
So I took that 1 hour lesson just as it was. It didn't even need editing. And I posted that on my daily uh, clients message board. And I said, hey, here's an update on the energy work for traders course that you guys know I am putting together because I've been telling you about it. Here is an example 1 hour session on one of the 8 imbalances of trading with revenge trading. And you can sit and you can look over my shoulder and watch that whole session to see if that's an issue for you and you didn't know it. And here's something you can do about it. And it's a way to demonstrate to them Joy's technique of being a energy working trader. I said, now, if you're if you found this thing resonated with you, and if Joy feels like a person that you could develop in a coaching relationship with, this is one lesson among 8 that we're putting together in her personalized course. And you can take that course from her. And then if you want to be actively coached by her, you can do it, but you can purchase the rights to all 8 sessions that I'm doing with her. And oh, by the way, I'm doing that with Alicia. And oh, by the way, I'm doing that with the Reiki. I'm doing that with a couple other people that are not even in our group, but who are energy workers themselves. So
Yeah,
I'm being the crash test dummy. And what I will do is I will build a home study course that is like a gift basket of one lesson representative of each of these different energy workers, and I'll offer that to the people probably for 47 bucks so that only the people with skin in the game will do it. But if they
Uh-huh.
buy that, but if they buy that course for 47 bucks, I'll give them a $300 discount coupon off one of the more extensive future courses. So that I've taken away the risk, but
Yeah.
I've also made them put skin in the game by buying the initial package. And then I
And with
tell
the
them, look,
coupon, you're incentivizing them to get in bigger skin in the game too.
well, if they're willing to do the work and they signal that by taking the first course and they like it, I'm willing to reward that by giving them 300 bucks off. If they
Yeah.
don't want to do that work, but just buy straight into the course, I'll say, all right, you didn't
So
even do the groundwork, so I'm going to make you pay 300 more because you didn't do the basic work.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
you're
And so
willing to do the basic work, I'll give you 300 bucks off.
yeah.
Like for instance, I do a annual coaching program for guys that are technical traders. And I tell them it's going to cost you 3,000 bucks a year in order for me to evaluate 50 of your trades. Now, for me to evaluate your trade, you have to produce the chart, mark it up, put your reflective learning in there. And if you do that work and send and email that to me and allow me to post it in our coaching journal, I'll give you 50 bucks back. So if they did that 50 times, and I think I give them, what do I give them? I give them 25 bucks back because I
25.
give
Okay.
them,
So
yeah. So they would earn 1,000 bucks off by doing the work that they signed up that they wanted to do. But if they don't do the work, then they pay 3,000 bucks. If they
that's a
do the
great
work,
way.
they only
Well,
do,
that's a
they
great way.
only do,
Yeah.
I
That's a
know
great
my,
marketing strategy. Yeah.
I know my traders. I said, look, guys, it's better for me financially if you just buy this course and then don't do it. Because I, because then I get all the money and it doesn't take me any time. But I'm incentivizing you to do the work, to make me work, and give you money back.
It's a great selling point. I mean, you talk
Damn
about
right.
building integrity and trust with their client. You got it right there.
That's how
Uh,
you do it. That's how
yeah,
you do it.
you got it right there, Ken. They say this guy is on the level. I want to do business with him.
Yeah. And that actually now when that happens, now here's why it's good for me to give up that money. I'm essentially paying them 1,000 bucks to mark up 50 charts for me so I can use that as a demonstration of that trading lesson for other people. And I tell them, look, it's only costing you that much money because you're allowing me to use it as a training tool for other people. If you don't give me permission to use that chart, then I got to charge you $10,000 because I'm doing proprietary work just for you. But I want to reuse this work as an inspiration to others so that I don't
You're
have to keep
evaluating
saying it.
50 trade. You're evaluating 50 of their trades.
Yeah, over the course of a year. I
Yeah.
can do that in about, I can look at a chart and what they're doing and in 5 seconds know what it is I need to say. And I can give them the feedback in less than 3 minutes.
And what are they learning from your evaluation about themselves?
They're learning system, self, and market, how to use our indicators. They tell me
Okay.
the reasons why they tell me why they interpreted the indicator a certain way. And I say,
Okay.
they tell me what, when they look at the chart, what they see. And I tell them when I look at the chart, what I see. And then I tell them to compare what did you see? Compare that to what I saw. And everything that I saw that you didn't see, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
And
And
everything that you see that I didn't see, well, first of all, it's nothing because everything they see, I see. And then if they thought something was important, but I didn't think it was important, then I try to help them recalibrate their judgment so that they can concentrate on the things that matter the most for the performance of that trade. So I'm nudging them, and I call that whole process developing a coaching eye. Because what I'm
They're
teaching
becoming
them
much
to,
better traders too, right?
yes, yeah, because here's why. When they can look at their own trading as a trader, they look at what's going on and they make their decisions and they document it. Trade is over. They come back to that later that day, and now they look through it through a coach's eye, and now they start looking for the things that they didn't see the first time. The same way that football coaches will look at training film to see how to improve their practice.
Yeah.
They now have adopted a coaching eye. When they do that, they have created a separate persona, a professional persona that will give them extra resources the next time that they're going to be becoming a trader. Because what I
Yeah.
teach them is to be a good trader, you have to separate yourself from the emotions of the trade and look at the rules working, and then use the coach's eye to evaluate themselves in the moment. They're the coach on the field. Now,
Yeah.
if they
Boy, that's
can,
great.
so if they can do that, they can suddenly wean themselves off of me and they can become their own trading coach. And now they don't have to pay me 2 grand a year to judge what they can do is get together with some of my other students and have a little small group coaching and coach each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I give them a chance to do a small group of professional traders with me sitting on top as the facilitator, and then I charge them for small group coaching, and now 4 or 5 traders are talking back and forth, and I can monitor and adjust as necessary, and I'm creating content that I can use as a teaching tool to everybody else. So I've offloaded the production of case studies and the manual marking up of charts, which is tiring.
Yeah.
And this way I have these guys feeding me charts that I can then comment on and teach them how to get better. And I can use that lesson to teach somebody else how to get better. And
Yeah.
now we have a community of practice that is organized around our common trading techniques, the trust that we have built in each other. Vujade, I intend to use as a way to help
You
us more rapidly develop our community of practice.
so you're going to integrate Vujade into those traders with your
That's my
work.
intention. That's my
And by the way,
intention.
you're also teaching them how to have an observer mind. And
Yes,
in having an observer mind, that also will increase their personal life and how they navigate the rest of their life too outside of trading.
it turns out that all the things that you learn to do to be an effective trader have 100% payoff in every other dimension of your life because you're using your executive function, you're
Right.
adopting a role, you're trying
Yeah.
to you're trying to align your behavior and judgment with your values,
Yeah.
and you're trying to watch yourself being true and consistent and in alignment with your stated values. So if you
Yeah.
can learn to adopt this disinterested neutral observer, that turns out to be, like, according to the work of let's see, Robert S. DeRope from the 1960s, who wrote the book called The Master Game. Now, he was a contemporary of Timothy Leary and Baba Ram Dass and all those guys, but he was a scientist. And so what he created was a secular behavioral approach to mastery of self. And one of the techniques that he teaches is called creating the silent witness. And that is where you create a persona that you invest in who is going to observe 100% of everything you do, infallibly record it, and will be there to do a replay when you're doing your internal work. So you create that honest broker inside you as your deliberate conscience, and you know
Yeah.
that you're going to go, so you can't pretend with your, you can't lie to yourself. So
Yeah.
so the idea of the silent witness, that is a common frame of reference for every spiritual and religious practice that seeks to have a deeper internal understanding. Now,
Yeah.
in some religions, they offload that into some external supernatural being who's going to perform that function for you. That's not my approach. In
Yeah, you're
boot,
doing holistic. It's like holistic coaching.
yeah,
You're using trading as the vehicle, kind of like a football coach uses the football to
yes,
build men, right? So you're
yes,
using the trading transaction as a vehicle for a
that's right.
holistic coaching.
Well, it turns out to be that. However, I trade in order to make money, and I teach people to trade so that they can make money. And it turns out that the best way to do that is by adopting the mindset of holistic, whole person, reflective, selfless
Yeah.
coaching and self-awareness. So there's a natural harmony. And so, I'm a Taoist, a Chinese Taoist. So in the idea of
You're a Taoist? That's what you are, a Taoist? Okay.
among that's one of the things that I am. So in the view of the Tao, that's normally represented as the yin yang. You have the light and the dark. A
Yes.
de- the deeper understanding of the yin and yang is that underneath the yin and yang was the Tao before we separated it into yin and yang. So if you reverse engineered the back, went to the pre yin and yang, you have the Tao that is singular, unified, universal, undifferentiated, nameless. And so it turns out is do I use trading for personal growth? Do I use personal growth for trading? The wrong question. Those things are both parts of the same thing, which is nameless. And so that's a way to get back to primary existence and experiential living.
But you're
So
transcending
all
duality. In a way, you're transcending
exactly.
duality too.
Yeah. Yeah. You're actually going back to an earlier time before the human mind put the duality in.
Yeah, the duality is the killer for everybody.
The duality exists because we interpreted it. We tried to describe what we were seeing and feeling, and the human mind created a duality that doesn't exist in nature. So that
Y-
is
y-
sort of
y- Yeah, Course in Miracles would say the ego split mind was born when the human body came in. The
yeah,
split mind of duality was always there in the ego.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, that sort of in a nutshell is the holistic approach that I bring to not just trading, but also to understanding the military duty of defense of the nation and the weak, of how to play good soccer, how to be a good coach and a player and a person through soccer, and how to be a good teacher when I'm in the EdD program at St. Mary's, where I'm working with educational leaders like superintendents and principals.
St. Mary's
As a
near you? Is that near where you
Yeah,
live?
it's in the town of Leavenworth, Kansas,
Oh,
University of
okay.
St. Mary's. Yeah,
Leavenworth. Lebanon or Leavenworth?
Leavenworth, Leaven
Oh, Leavenworth. Yeah.
Worth. Yeah, Leavenworth,
And you go
Leavenworth.
over there and work with the MD students over there?
It's the EdD. It's a doctor of education. It's the applied doctorate of leadership
Oh,
in
okay.
education. So it's not the research PhD degree. It's the EdD. And whereas I have a DM, a doctor of management, the applied doctor of management, as opposed to a PhD in business management.
It's like
I'm a
in
DM.
psychology, you have the PsyD versus the
Yes,
PhD in psychology. The
correct,
PsyD
correct.
is really the golden degree. The
Right,
PhD in psychology is not so much.
right. Because they research trivial things in a very narrow sliver. The PsyD has to pull all these tools together and figure out which ones and in what measure and what mixture is appropriate for the thing that I've tentatively diagnosed
This
and then is
parallels to what you're
adaptive.
saying about
Yeah.
your program, right?
Right. So my DM is in really business and organizational management, organizational design, development, and transformation, change management. And part of that is the organizational dynamics and the individual dynamics, as you know, because you got to work with people, but you also got to work with groups of people. And those groups organize in certain ways that can create imbalances or can be leveraged into positive change that may be obsolete and need. So change management is all part of that. That's what I also do as for 40 years for the Army and Department of Defense is help them with their military change management and force management inside the military setting as an officer for 25 years and as a professor for the Army for another
So
25.
you were an officer for 25 years yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we're lucky to have you at base camp and part of Purview, Bogie Purview. I think we're fortunate to have you because you're like the glue that brings us all together.
That's the think of the word catalyst. Think of the
Okay,
word
catalyst.
catalyst.
Okay.
That's what I'm. This is in some ways my vacation time where I'm investigating what it means to be a catalyst because I'm writing a book on uh, the word catalyst in leadership theory is associated with one of the skills that a leader may be called upon to use under certain circumstances, along with being a strategist, a
Yeah.
tactician, a trainer, a leader, a risk. So I am articulating a theory that there is such a thing called a full-time catalyst in an organization who is explicitly not in the chain of command, has no budget authority directly, and simply wanders around looking for ways to help solve problems that are not naturally being solved themselves, but they need the catalyst in order to create the conditions for these two diverse elements to come together and create an alloy or a compound molecule, and then back out. So that thing is done and off it goes, and the catalyst retains the mobility and the agency and the freedom to go around just doing good things.
That's
So
almost like what a prophet is to a king in a way.
I think
Um,
so because the what I'm not interested in doing as a catalyst is leveraging a success into a position of supervisory responsibility and project management and leader. My job, like the nurse, is to come in and do just enough to help them help themselves
yeah.
and then back the hell out. So that's why I want you to upload your thing to Basecamp instead of giving it to me to upload to
Okay.
Basecamp because
Yeah.
now I've become your solution
No.
for that problem, and I don't want
Yeah.
that job.
Yeah, I
What
don't
I
want
want,
you to. I don't
yeah,
want you to enable you. I don't want to enable you
all
or
right,
you enable
that's right,
me, right?
that's right,
But I
that's right,
didn't know. I was just trying
yeah.
to find out the best way to get it out there.
Now,
But
along
now
the
I
way
know
to,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
never talked to you before today.
yeah. So along the way of doing that, we'll just gently figure out what they're. Sometimes I actually have to do things for people to get them jump started.
Yeah, now that's part of a
You know,
catalyst job, and
well, here's the
then
thing.
let them go.
Well, here's an example. Tom Lemke has already built out a 30 lesson course for his 30 days of gratitude.
Yes.
Now
Uh-huh.
he has built that inside Google Sheets because he's very comfortable doing it in Google Sheets.
Okay.
He's now ready for me to inspect it based on some design guidance I had given him about what that course needed to have in order to be useful to traders. So he built that out quickly in Google Sheets because he's proficient. So I'm going to go take a look at that. And then what I'm going to do is teach him how to transfer it from Google Sheets into the Rizuku educational course delivery system. It's going to be
Okay.
very easy to incorporate that. I may actually find out that there's a piece of software that could take it entirely from Google Sheets and bring the whole package in and have it all done at once. So I'm going to investigate that.
You're going to check that
But
out.
what I'm
How
going to
should
do
I
is,
enter my? How should I enter my? Should I use some kind of a vehicle to enter my
well,
information?
that's like step 3 or 4. What I'm going to do is I will create a course for you in Rizuku
Okay.
that'll be a placeholder for the different lessons and techniques or whatever it is that you want to do. And we start small with some incremental skill that you want to teach. It could be something as easy as your introduction to the leadership dashboard and the 9 elements and whatever you want to do with that.
I do habit formation as
Yeah.
a strong lesson too. I'm real big on changing habits with
Well, there you are.
clients.
So we could very easily treat that as a test case and say, hey,
Yeah.
you want to change it? You want to change a habit? Here's a course from Jack Roddy, my friend, which is part of his larger toolkit. But he's agreed to allow us to do that as change a habit for traders. So
It's
you give
almost
me
like
that.
a lead magnet. I could almost
Yes,
use it as a lead magnet too,
a
really.
100%, 100%. So you do a home study course, you put 5 or 6 lessons in there. I add some material for each one of those lessons to show a trader specifically how to bring trading expertise into there and change a trading habit. So we put that together, and then now that's a pilot program. It's a course, it's a lead magnet that both of us could use because
Yeah,
you can show that course to somebody and say, hey, here's how you change a habit, and here's how I helped traders specifically change their habit. But the good news is it scales to any profession. The principles are
yes.
the same. And we can just use this as a working example, and it adds credibility and juice because some people might not understand your lesson until they see somebody else doing it. They say, "Oh, I could see how I could do that as a doctor or as a teacher or as a whatever I want to be, a manager." So what we'll do
Yeah.
is I will tonight I'll design a placeholder for you in Rizuku, and
Okay.
and then once you figure out, the course and the lessons and the content, we'll map that stuff into Rizuku and create its own little course, and then you can price that any way you want. And all I need from you is like a Stripe or a PayPal account so that we can have any payments that come into that course go directly to you.
Yeah, I do use Stripe. Yes.
Piece of cake. So
So yeah.
when I make you the I make you the guide, the technical term for that is the guide. I will make you a guide, and then you actually have freedom to edit that course, price it any way you want, and it pays you directly. And
Yeah,
I'll
that's great. That's
And then
great.
what I would ask you is just on the honor system, send me 10% for hosting it. Whatever sales you make off of
Oh,
that,
sure.
send me 10% for hosting.
Yeah.
Now that's for the generic course. If we do it now, we can actually do two courses. You could have the generic course as a standalone, all yours, and you could have the habit changing course for traders. We might split that money because I will add a bunch of my material in there, and then we go like 50-50 or something
Well,
for
also too, they're your
the applied
client.
course.
They're your clients too.
Fair enough. I think that's fair enough. And it will at 50-50, I am incentivized to get out there and hustle up a bunch of sales.
Yeah.
You know, if we
Well,
did it 90-10 your way, I wouldn't be incentivized to market the course. But if we
no, of
make it
course not.
50-50, and then you don't have, once you get the home study course, you record it once, that thing runs on autopilot. You have to spend zero time. Now, the second thing you do is you say, hey, you put a little notice in there and say, hey, I'm Jack Roddy. I hope you enjoyed this course. I have 10 other things that I teach. Here's a list. If you think that I could be of service to you in any of those areas, here's my contact information. And if you bought this course, here's a coupon that you can use for service and
That's
give you a
perfect.
little
Yeah,
incentive.
that's
So,
perfect. Yeah. But
yeah,
once they feel the grip of the habit change, they say,
yeah,
well, whatever this guy's doing, I want more. So
right.
as a lead magnet, it's a great way to get somebody
That's
in
right.
because
That's
you
why the
give them
first one,
something that
that's why the first lesson that I always just give it away and say, here,
yeah.
if
No,
it
right. You
doesn't
always give the
resonate,
first one away.
it's like if it doesn't resonate with you, I don't want you to pay me. But if it
Yeah.
resonates with you, then you're willing to pay because you already know that it works. And we've removed all the anxiety and the salesmanship and all that shit.
That's part of our job. Get rid of anxiety and depression
Yeah,
and
just
toxicity,
this
right?
the world is so large, somebody's willing to pay me for this. And those are the only guys that I want. That's the only guys that I want anyway. So what we'll do is I will I my intention would be to put the habit changing lesson, the first lesson,
Yeah.
the simplest atomic first step. We'll put that into the energy work for traders collaboration.
Yeah.
And then we'll say, look, if you want the other course, you can get the other 6 or 8, however many lessons it is, 6 or 8 lessons. And you can buy that for $49 or 149, whatever you think is fair.
Yeah, well,
And
that's a great project. I'm definitely in. I'm happy to do that.
okay,
I learned all about habit formation from this guy Charles Duhigg.
yeah, he's the guy. I have that book.
You know this guy, huh?
I use his techniques.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good start, and then I can start building my curriculum around
You know, the
that.
other guy, the other guy that's really good on that is Atomic Habits with James Clear. Atomic
J-
Habits is very good.
James Clear, huh?
Yeah, Clear. He's another best-selling author that is like co-equal to Duig when it comes to habits.
Boy, you're really well read. You're
I
you're
read
well read
everything.
in a lot of different areas, aren't you?
I about 10,000 books a year
Really?
with AI.
You should be. You should have your own. Do you have a podcast or something? You
Yeah,
should have something else going on.
every night.
You
I
have your own
my
podcast?
Yeah, and it's on the public version of it is on YouTube, which has about 7,000 videos.
What's the name
And
of
then
it?
it's Ken Long Tortoise,
Oh, Ken Long. That's your podcast?
all one word, Ken Long Tortoise at
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube.
yeah. No
YouTube.com.
spaces.
Nope, one word. Capital K, capital L, capital T. Although I think it does it without the capitalization. But if
And
you
you're
just
on
type,
every night. You're on.
yeah. Now I don't put a public podcast on every night. Some of my podcasts, like what I do with my coaching, is I coach live 3 or 4 nights a week. I record that session and then I put that in the coaching workshop, and then any coaching client from any cohort has access to every coaching session I do, whether it was their cohort or not.
So do you have that on? Is that on YouTube or where? Is that a podcast or on YouTube or what?
Yeah, I have I store the files in a private link on YouTube as a storage, and I also store those as live videos inside a Rizuku course that has access to each of those by date and uh, by title. I also take the audio. I take the audio of all those sessions and I drop it into an AI that makes a text translation of it. And I collect all the text files of all of the coaching sessions and I crush that into a very compact note. And that goes into my AI coaching assistant, which is trained on about 220 million words that I've either written, said, coached, collaborated, recorded, or researched. And then the coaching clients they can ask questions of that AI and get a better answer than I can probably give them because it's trained
So
on everything I've ever done.
The AI's knowledge is based on the
My
200
knowledge.
million word.
Yeah.
It's all you in there on the AI.
Yeah. It uses the reasoning power of the AI large language model, but the reference data that it uses to come up with a specific answer are all my words. So
Uh-huh.
it's uniquely trained on the reference data that I have curated to create my own expert coach.
So do you use that do you monetize that at all, or do you use that for yourself, or what?
I use it for myself anytime anybody ever asks me a question, and I have included all my Army stuff in there too, and my teaching stuff in there too, because there's a strong connection between all of that. So that no matter what I'm working on, my entire integrated holistic brain, with everything I've ever read in the last 50 years, comes up with a comprehensive review. I call that persona my sage advisor. Now, I make that,
My sage advisor, is that what you
yeah.
call it?
So, my sage advisor is now a feature of the coaching program that I put together. So these guys that are doing the coaching with me, I teach them technical things. But if they want the coaching for $1,000 a year, they can just watch everybody else's sessions, and they can do Q&A with that little robot.
So it's like you have a $1,000 membership for your library
Yes,
a year per year, $1,000 for per
a
year.
thousand a year because I'm adding millions of words each year.
Yeah.
And then for the $3,000 coaching thing, they're doing the live coaching with me live, and that session is being recorded, and they're getting personalized, creative stuff, plus what I'm doing in my own trading, and that goes into that live coaching session. That
Is that
session,
group coaching? That's group coaching, right?
that's group coaching because I only charge them $3,000 a year. If they want individualized proprietary coaching, that costs them 50 grand a year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For 3,000 for the group coaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why
I
group therapy is always a better deal than one-on-one therapy, because in group therapy you pay 1/4 of the price and you still get everything done because you make sure that you get in the hot seat.
That's right. And you get to listen to other people in the hot seat. And then if you have learned to adopt a coaching eye,
Yes.
you become a better student. And now some of these guys that used to be my students are now teaching some of my courses for me, and I'm teaching them how to coach. And I'm helping them create their own courses, and I'm hosting those courses, and I'm getting a residual of 20% for them. So
Yeah.
they are incentivized to teach their specialized course, but they can use my name and marketing as authority. I lend authority to what they're doing because I can say honestly and truthfully, this guy's worked with me for 5 or 10 years. I've proven all his stuff. I've certified him in the way that I coach, and
Yeah.
you get access when they sell a course. They get access to my coaching persona in case they have questions. So that
Yeah.
little collection of knowledge provides an extra layer of content and support to everybody associated with our enterprise at no extra cost to me, and it offloads a lot of the trivial, repetitive work.
Is that residual income?
You
Would
got
you
damn
call
right
that
it is.
residual?
It's
20%, you get 20% of their gross.
Yeah,
So it's residual income for you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Good
do all
deal.
the and I'm hosting their course on my website, so they have a zero cost of hosting the infrastructure as long as they use my infrastructure. If they want to
Yeah.
spend money and take the course that they built with me, take a clone of it and put it on their own, I don't care.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm
But at least
hosting,
when by staying with you, they have access to all of your AI.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah, and all our content and our network of collaborators. And these are guys that are in their 30s and 40s, and they want to
Oh.
do this. They want to do this for another 30 or 40 years. I'm not going to live
Okay.
30 or 40 more years,
No,
but
no.
but
But
I need to.
your
Yeah,
legacy will be out there.
exactly. So in Tom's gratitude course, I'm going to be talking about how learning to give away my material and experience the gratitude and forgiveness has enabled that vision for the community of practice to develop.
Yeah. And by the
And
way,
it's
will that gratitude course of his, will he use that if he is in a project, an
Yeah,
organizational development project too?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that gratitude, he's going to do a generic gratitude course for anybody.
Yeah.
He's going to do a he's going to do a gratitude course certification to license coaches to use his gratitude course.
Wow.
Bam. Now,
Yeah.
he's going to build a specialized gratitude course for traders with me.
Okay.
I I will give him content for that. And we'll split that 50-50.
But he'll still
Now,
have his own generic gratitude
yes,
course too, separate from
and
that,
he
right?
and he gets to keep all of that except maybe 10% for hosting if he
And
feels
you're helping them build that one
obligated.
too.
Yeah, it's all the same course. Just one of them for traders, I've added material. Now we're also going to do a gratitude for hospice nurses. And
Oh,
we're going to do a gratitude course for hospice patients because that's two separate courses.
yeah.
Hospice nurses need to learn how to use gratitude to build up their own resilience.
Is this your brother's idea? Is this for your
I
brother?
That's for my brother
This
because
is for your brother, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm helping him build a course on how to teach all of the things that he knows about the psychology and techniques of hospice nursing to hospice nurses. One of the things that they got to do is learn how to use the power of gratitude. Well, Tom Lemke's an expert in gratitude, so we're
Yeah.
going to pull his course into the larger course that my brother is going to teach. And then they'll have a relationship that is cross referral.
Oh,
And then
good.
And then Tom Lemke can say, hey, look at me, coaches. I've got a gratitude course that you can use. Here's how a trading coach, here's how a hospice nurse coach use that gratitude course for their clients. You can learn to do that too, and I will license you in the use of my course and materials.
That's
Piece of
great.
cake. So
Yeah.
that's how this thing slowly grows out like a kudzu vine
Yeah.
in a ever expanding, all tied together by the same values of selfless service, duty to others, first do no harm, be transparent, support the people.
I got a question for you, Ken. In
Yeah,
the area of conflict resolution, now I've been involved in conflict resolution almost as a mediator with people sometimes, and I've gotten good at that. Do you think there's a way to monetize that as a skill?
100%, 100%.
Conflict
There's
resolution. There's a lot of it out there.
there's two ways to do it. One of it is to offer your services as a mediator,
Yeah.
and then to do the mediation. There's another one which says, I can teach you how to be a mediator. Now, why do you as a leader want to add the skill of mediation to your leadership toolkit?
I'm losing your microphone.
Oh, well, I'll try that one
All
again.
right, there you go. You're back
Yeah,
now. You're back.
yeah, I leaned back a little bit too much. So now put yourself in the role of a leader. And that guy says,
I already am a leader. Okay.
I just took over this new organization, and based on my initial diagnosis, it appears to me that there is quite a lot of conflict internally that needs to be resolved.
Yeah.
How what could I do as a leader to help facilitate that? Well, as a leader, I could just get in there and direct them. Or I could use soft power as a leader and be a mediator and allow them the energy, space, and authority to solve the problem with my support. Not every leader wants to do that. But if I teach that leader how to mediate, I've given them a chance to adopt that skill. But I've also taught them why mediation can work and what they should look for in a mediator. So now I could hire a mediator on the basis of the interview. I could say, hey, you're a professional mediator. Tell me how you would mediate this conflict. And since I'm skilled in mediation, I know if they're talking out their ass or not. Are they competent? If they are competent, then I can professionally, ethically sign the contract and grant them the opportunity to go mediate for us because maybe they could do things as a mediator that I couldn't do because of the chain of responsibility, chain of command, and authority. They
Yeah.
might not accept my mediation because they see me as a leader with formal authority. So a lot of times you actually have to offload that. And the central idea of mediation is that both parties in the conflict have the opportunity to say no. They both have to agree to the mediation. If
Yeah.
I, as the leader, have a supervisory relationship, they may not feel that they genuinely can say no to my mediation. So
Yes.
I've not met the I have not met the start conditions for good mediation. So why as a leader do I want to mediate? Well, because sometimes I could go to a sister organization, step out of my role as a leader and go mediate for them. That's legit.
Yeah.
And
And so
they
you
could do the
create a
same thing
course
for me.
around mediation?
Yeah. Create a course around mediation and teach a lead. And what you do is you call that a leadership course in mediation. Here's how you do it. Here's how you know how to see expertise. It's an executive summary course of mediation. It's mediation for a leader who's not going to do that as a full-time job. Understanding.
I lost your voice again.
It needs to be uh, they need to have that skill as part of their leadership toolkit.
That's good. That's very good.
So,
And the mediation is always related to conflict resolution, right?
100%.
Yeah.
If there wasn't any conflict, we would have nothing to mediate.
Wow, that's a great. I'll bet there's a good market for that. I think there's probably a need for that.
100%.
Like you say, there's a lot of conflicts that are unresolved out there.
What's the number one thing that causes teams to fail? And
Conflict, unresolved conflict.
yeah, I can't get past it. We're not a team if we can't get past this thing.
Yeah.
So what, as a mediator who understands leadership and teamwork, now this is why this is especially important for a leader. I'm glad we're recording this. Sometimes you got to mediate two parties that have competing interests that are not on a team. We call those judges.
You call them what?
A judge.
A
If you
judge.
go to,
Okay.
if you go to small claims court, we're not members of a team trying to resolve something. We got two people that are fighting over something, and the judge. Well, if you go to a judge, he's not mediating; he's directing.
They usually have a mediator underneath the judge that does that.
Well, you'd like to do that because it's cheaper, and you save the court costs. And an arbitrator is just going to tell you, and you got to live with it. If you don't accept an arbitrator, now you got to go to court, and that's the most expensive, and that's a zero sum game. It's all or nothing. In mediation, I have a chance to create my own solution that's acceptable to both of
It
us.
costs less money. Yeah.
Right.
By the way, I'm losing your voice again.
Yeah, it's when I lean back from the camera. So here's what I would say. So there's a course that's needed for leaders that is an executive course on what is mediation, how do I incorporate it into my leadership, how do I use mediators in my business, uh, what are the payoffs, and how do I know which mediator to hire? How do I know that this situation lends itself to mediation? What's the diagnosis tool? So you take that's 5 or 6 topics right there. What are the ethics and legal issues? What are the alternate? What's the BATNA? What's the best alternative to a negotiated agreement? So you put all that stuff together, and what you have is an executive summary course for leaders. And in a matter of about 2 hours, they will know everything they need to know about mediation and where to go for more. You've given them a vital service, and they should spend $97 on a 2 hour course.
And this particular course would be applicable within any type of conflict resolution.
Sure. Anything that, and anytime any leader needs to mediate. And now here's what somebody else that is in a position that they they have a conflict with somebody, you could tell them, hey, look, you don't even have to be a leader. You're a leader of your own tribe, but you could actually take a leadership role and suggest to this person that has a conflict, hey, here's a process that we both could follow to find a path out of this together. I'm willing to investigate it if you are, and maybe together we can just follow this path without an external mediator for hire. And so,
So the course could be self propel itself without having a separate mediator.
correct. You could teach an individual how to be a mediator, how to use mediation to reach out to the other party and find solutions by having
Yeah.
them adopt a. You have to ask them, I need you to stop thinking like you're half of this fight and trying to get as much out of it for yourself. And so this would refer as a central document, as a reference to the Harvard Project on Negotiation, which is very closely related to mediation. Because
Yes.
a negotiation is nothing more than an opportunity to mediate with somebody else in a voluntary way
Yeah.
without an external authority coming in and dictating.
Yes.
If a negotiation breaks down, then mediation can step in as the next least painful way to solve the problem with an external asset.
Yeah.
If
That's
mediation fails, I can go to arbitration. Now it's getting painful and costly. And
yeah.
if we're not going to accept binding arbitration, then we're saying, okay, I'm going to take my chances in court. So now we've escalated this thing beyond all proportion.
Right, in
So,
conflict resolution and mediation, you're literally setting
yes,
and values around how you're going to operate, right?
yes, and it is always with mutual agreement in order to proceed to the next stage.
Yeah, so you have to have rules that both parties agree on
Yeah,
to move forward.
100%. That's how
Okay,
that works.
that would be a great project. I could add that to one of my project for sure. Because every good
Yeah,
leader should be a good mediator. It should be built
yeah,
right into their leadership
that's
acumen,
right.
really. You know.
Yeah, you should be a negotiator. So now we start thinking about the skill set of a leader. What do they need to be? Well, they need to be technical expert. They need to be a negotiator.
Yeah.
They need to be a trainer. They need to be an educator. They need to be a counselor. They need to be a coach. They need to be possibly a mediator. They might need to be a catalyst or know how to hire a catalyst, et cetera, et cetera. They need to have finance skills. So now you have the leader is a golfer with a lot of different clubs in his bag. And how do you learn those things? Are you going to just go out and brute force and ignorance and learn from your mistakes, trial and error? Or do you believe in the possibility of learning from the skills of others and fast track to expertise without going through all the same errors and trials and tribulations of the experiential learner? Do you want to be the Lone Ranger? Go ahead and do it. It costs a lot of time. It's no guarantee of success, and it costs you a lot of money and ass pain.
Well, in a way, you could actually build a whole curriculum around the wheelhouse of a leader and the arsenal in his quiver. You got to have
Yes.
this. And to be a
And now,
leader,
that's right. Now, you as a OD developer and a consultant, you are skilled at providing a solution to any of those techniques, like your your leadership dashboard and that entire array of tools from the gentleman from Harvard.
yeah,
That's the
Andrew
master
Knightley.
toolkit. That's the master toolkit that you're competent to teach on. Now,
Yes.
if you're going to teach those courses, if you had a home study course that played automatically, you could assign that as reading and developmental stuff, and they could be doing all the prep work so you don't have to keep saying the same old stuff. They could do the homework, and if they did the homework and passed the test, then they would show good faith, skin in the game, that they're willing to try this because they did the work already without wasting my time. But if you
Yes.
won't even do a home, if you won't do a home study course that I've laid out, then don't bother me asking me for my help because
Right.
I've given you the baseline, and that may actually solve your problem, and that's cheaper than coming in hiring me to read the lesson to you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's like in the coaching industry, they used to say the way that they separated consultants from coaches, they would say, well, consultants will give you a 3-ring binder of all the data of your organization and all the answers. And that binder will sit up on the shelf in the library and nobody will ever use it. Now,
right?
that's like the extreme of a consultant. And
Yeah,
then what they say is now, as coaches, what we do, we not only facilitate, but we make sure that the impact takes place, the culture changes. We stay, and it's a way for coaches to be righteous about their role as a coach versus a consultant.
yeah, 100%.
You
So
probably
anyway,
heard that
that's
before.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we do that all the time here. We think of that in the military education as the gradual release of responsibility model.
Oh,
In the opening stages, we act as the expert and show them. And then as soon as we can, they start trying it on themselves and we are responsible for talking them through it as they do it.
gradual release of responsibility model.
Yeah, yeah. Look it up. It's called GRR. You'll find a
Uh-huh.
lot of literature on that. In the third stage, they now take responsibility for leading the action, but we advise and adjust. In the fourth stage, we simply observe and report, and now they are a fully self actualized person with autonomy and agency.
Now, is that the
So
GRR model? Is that what that is?
that's the 4-stage GRR model. I had it in my mind's eye as I was talking you through it.
So advise
Now,
and adjust is stage 3.
yeah,
And stage 4 is observe.
and report.
Wow.
So it's like you're watching them on their final exam. They go in
Yeah.
there, they do it all, and you give them a final grade. So you are now certified. You did that all without me, and I graded you as successful. You are now
Yeah.
free to move about the cabin. So until they do that, they have not fully accepted responsibility for all of their actions. So
Uh-huh.
gradual release of responsibility says you don't just throw them off the pier and say swim. You go through an instructional process, and it begins with you demonstrating and then observing. And
Now, is
then
that a coaching model? Is that a coaching model
it is if
or
you
a
are
consulting
coach,
model?
it's either one. Uh,
Oh,
if your consultant is also providing a training solution, which some
yeah.
of them do, I can hire a consultant to teach me and then leave when I've mastered it. Like I don't need them anymore because you've made me a self-empowered person.
Well, ultimately, coaches are teaching people to be coaches in their own
Right?
world. In a way, you're just
Yes.
handing down
Well,
yourself
if
to them.
not necessarily, there are some coaches who want to stay as your coach and they retain this special magical knowledge. They don't teach you how to coach, they just teach you how to perform. So they have the magical knowledge. So you
Yeah.
can't get rid of you can't, you're always addicted to their solution.
Well, yeah, that's not good.
I think it's bad.
Yeah.
But I understand how some people could adopt that as a
Well,
mindset,
human nature could make some people want to do that. Yeah.
be it as it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I use the principles of the gradual release of responsibility mod
Yeah.
in order to apply that in every dimension of my life.
Yeah.
What I described as how I coach traders, I'm using the GRR model so that they become self-empowered.
What about
When
those
I'm
little
coaching,
soccer kids? So the soccer kids
I
too?
I teach them how to teach the younger kids. So they can now be assistant coaches for me.
Uh-huh.
And then with my military officers, I'm teaching them how to be leaders and teachers of their subordinates. And
Yeah.
then in my um, with the educational programs where I teach the principles of curriculum design and program design to principals so that they understand how to ensure that their teachers are applying that model so that the students graduate with efficacy. We want them to have an applied degree with skill that they can use with confidence in the world. So you have to make a leadership decision on how you want to organize your teaching program. So
It
that's how that
represents
works.
your values too, really. So
Yeah.
the GRR model is the model that you go by
Yeah. Yeah.
as an overview.
Yes. That's what I use.
Well, what I want to do is I'm going to work on my habit formation curriculum. And then I want what I would like to do is do the conflict resolution piece too.
Keep that as project 2, which we will initiate after successful completion of project 1.
Okay. Okay. Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
I'm glad we decided to meet today. I've been watching the development of our base camp, and in most networking groups, everybody has one-to-ones to get to know each other. I did
Yeah.
have a one-to-one with Alicia. Alicia did her chakras on me, and
Oh,
I
okay.
also
Yeah.
met. I think I met with Joy too. Of course, I already knew Olivia and Tom, so I was already in with them.
Yeah.
Uh, well, listen, this is great. By the way, speaking of the military, my nephew is transferring from Cape Canaveral to Colorado Springs, and he's leaving the Air Force to be part of Space Force.
Yep.
He's getting promoted into Space Force. He's about 36 years old. He's got 4 kids, and they're transferring him up to Colorado Springs. You
Is
probably
he
know that you
is he
know
a
that
major?
world, right?
Is he a
Is
major? What's his
now
rank?
he's a what's the rank just below that?
Captain.
He's either a captain or a major. He
Yeah,
took
that's
he
about
took
right.
night school at that military
Yeah.
school in Virginia,
Yep.
to get his engineering degree. He went at night while he was in
Embry Riddle.
Cheyenne.
Embry Riddle.
Yeah. He started out in Cheyenne,
Space Mountain.
but now he's up to Space Force. Yeah, I coached him. He was in trouble when he was in Cheyenne. He couldn't get along well. He was 10 years older than all his peers because he got in late as an entry level, no degree. And I coached him for about a year and a half, and he really blossomed.
Yeah, very cool. Well, this is good stuff. I'm going to get this. This is actually an instructive video. I'm going to hang the recording of this video, with your permission, in Basecamp and share it with our team to show what a one-to-one discovery process looks like, because that reveals your process. It reveals my process. It shows how we can collaborate together. It allows them to understand what I mean by catalyst, and it shows how we can sort of spontaneously develop various product lines, and it shows a vision for potentially expanding business interest that is essentially unlimited.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you permission to share this. And any way you feel like you want to edit it, so that's fine too.
Yeah. I think we didn't use many swear words. You didn't swear at all. I may have
No, I didn't swear.
used one or I didn't. I may have used one or two choice words
I didn't hear you use any swear
unconsciously.
words.
If I did, then it was appropriate and context.
And we also didn't get into any politics or anything, right?
There we are. Yeah.
So we kept it clean. I think we kept it clean all the way, Ken.
I think we can send it as is, and we'll do that. And I'll see you. Now I'm going on leave tomorrow, but I'll be in Michigan, but I will be online on Monday for the.
So I will see you on Monday.
My brother's house. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, very good.
Hey, are you from Pittsburgh?
No, I'm from Philadelphia area.
Okay. You have the Pennsylvania accent, but the eastern side.
I'm on the eastern side. Yeah, we consider Pittsburgh to be part of the Midwest.
That's right. It's the great unwashed.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ken. I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
All right. Take good care. Bye.
Okay.